Good morning and welcome to Prop Till You Drop NFL Player Prop Bets Week 8 of the NFL season. And we're here with the fantasy football degenerate, Jen Ryan, and the old man, Emil Kadlec. How's it going, Jen?
It's going good. I can't believe it's halfway through pretty much the fantasy season. I can't believe we're almost done. It makes me sad. I wish we had a baseball season, but, it's football.
Yes. Well, yeah, it is kind of scary week 8. It goes too fast in the business, that's for sure. But we're having fun. Yeah. All right, so off to prop. Let's start off with the quarterbacks here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games that I'm kind of targeting a little bit this week, and as you can see, one of them is this Cincy-Tennessee game. Joe Burrow, total touchdown passes, over 1.5. You have to think that there's a good shot that he throws for 2 touchdowns, right? There's a 51-point line in this game. The Bengals are 6.5-point home dogs. There really should be lots of throwing, and I see no reason why he can't go ahead and throw 2. I mean, anytime really you see with these 1.5s, they're so tempting for a quarterback because, again, all it takes is 2, especially if he throws one early in the game. You figure now he's got 3 quarters to throw just one more touchdown. So this is one of those, excuse me, where I'll be looking to parlay. I like to do quarterback parlays every week, and Joe Burrow's touchdowns is definitely going to be one of them.
Yeah, that is nice. He's really impressive. It's incredible what this young man's doing as a rookie.
Sure, and the game script. I mean, he's going to be playing from behind. I mean, didn't he have a game this year where he threw the ball like 61 times or something like that?
61 times, yeah. I think it was against Cleveland. It was crazy, and I don't think he threw an interception in that game, which is crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yes, there's a good one.
And then of course we have Aaron Rodgers. He's home at Lambeau. There's no Aaron Jones. I mean, Jamal Williams is a very, very viable fill-in, but still, there's no running back to sort of lean on in the same way you normally would Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams, he's back. He is very much looking like one of the best wide receivers in football. And, Aaron Rodgers, I really think he gets his third 300-yard game this season, this week at home against his rival Minnesota Vikings.
That will be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I like a lot of props in that game, and we'll get to them in other positions eventually. Then, of course, you have Tannehill. Again, I really like targeting just this game, and I think it's a game where if you really kind of want to stack a little for daily, you certainly could. There's going to be a lot of points in this game. Again, it's a 51-point line. And they're teasing me with these 2 touchdowns again. I'm trying to imagine a scenario in this game where Tannehill doesn't throw for 2 touchdowns. I get that this offense runs through Derrick Henry, but still, give me 2 touchdowns for Tannehill.
Yeah, we got to hope that A.J. Brown is healthy. He was a little injured. I think it was yesterday, and we should know by now. Go to footballdiers.com and you should be able to tell. And I think that'll help. I mean, he's an incredible athlete, and he's been banged up this year and missed several games, and he definitely is an important part of the Tennessee offense. And I guess the only problem with Tannehill is he may run a ball in for a touchdown, and that may mess up the 1.5 over.
Well, of course, you can find a prop on his rushing touchdowns too. So just throw money at Tannehill this week, and you should be in good shape.
That's good.
And then the biggest touchdown line I have this week that I'm going to be betting is Mahomes for 3 touchdowns. This game's going to be hard to watch. It's going to be like watching a high school prep team play the freshmen from a small town that just doesn't have a big emphasis on football. I mean, the Jets have actually Mike Dempsey brought this up last night, and it's so true. The Jets just can't score points, right? They're just having such a terrible time scoring points. And the fear with this is that, the Chiefs get out to a huge lead, and they just run the ball, and you won't see a lot of action out of Tannehill. But that's just not how it's been with them. I mean, the Chiefs keep their foot on the gas, and for what it's worth, there's a little narrative we have in this game. This is Le'Veon Bell's revenge game, and I think he's gonna. We'll get to Le'Veon later. I have him for 2 touchdowns, and I do think he gets 1 in the air and on the ground this week. So 2.5 for Mahomes. That's viable anyway.
Yeah, the Jets have had some serious injuries, the last couple of weeks with their wide receivers, and coming into this weekend, it's still an issue. So that doesn't help, the Jets scoring touchdowns. I think Mims right now is one of the more healthy. Bob has an update on it. You can go on Football Diaries and see the last Kansas City update, New York Jets update, and there's a lot of people. Perriman's ruled out. Crowder's officially doubtful. It's not helping the Jets, let's just say.
No, and it's a shame because I still believe that Sam Darnold is one of the best quarterbacks to come out in recent years, and he's just being wasted. And speaking of poor Sam Darnold, if you think these Chiefs pick him twice, that's a pretty nice payout at plus 145. I think he's a lock to throw at least 1 interception. And I could see Sam just maybe trying to do too much and just trying to make something happen and throwing that second pick.
That does make a lot of sense because they're going to be most likely behind. However, they did play differently, a little bit better last week, at least here and there, which is encouraging. But with these injuries, it doesn't help. This doesn't help when you don't have your top couple, receivers. It's not a good thing.
I can't imagine being Sam Darnold preparing for this game. I can't.
All right, you ready to go to the running backs?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if I can't get this thing to click and go there. Here we are. By golly, it works.
Technology. So Kareem Hunt, I feel like there's a lot to like about Kareem Hunt every week. Look, 120 total rushing and receiving yards. Normally, somebody sees that line and they're like, get out of here. I'm not betting money on that. However, look at the opponent with the Raiders. They are the most generous team in football to running backs. And, Hunt's going to get his on the ground, but we should expect a bit of an uptick in the receiving game just because there are so many available targets now with Odell Beckham no longer in the picture, unfortunately. There's just targets up for grabs in this game. And him, among other players, are going to be on the other side of it. It's a big line. I acknowledge that. I'm still going for it. I still really like him to have a huge day. And 120 yards from scrimmage would be pretty huge.
Yeah. It's definitely not forecasted that high. But certainly we know this guy can do it. You're playing at home against the Raiders. It'd be interesting to see what his reception number is for the prop. Do you happen to have that?
I can get you that. Yeah, I can get you that.
Right now, we're forecasting him to catch 7 balls in that game in our rankings. That's a lot.
See, no, and that's going to add, that's going to rack up. And, I was looking at the defense first position, fantasy points allowed on Football Diehards, and that's what kind of sent me down this rabbit hole. They've given up, I think, 411 yards in the last 4 weeks on the ground to running backs. That's just on the ground. And this guy's such a factor in the receiving game. Let me just pull up his receiving line real quick. Mr. Hunt. 3.5 catches is his line. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be tempting. I think that would be a tempting prop also, is to go over on that.
I'm actually going to write that down and add that to my running back prop parlay this weekend. Just 3.5. I don't know how I glanced over that. That's in the first half, probably. It's a great bet. Thank you, Emil. I will. I owe you if that one hits.
Yeah.
And then just going back to that Titans-Bengals game, I'm so on this game this week, obviously. I mean, Derrick Henry, 23.5 carries. I really feel like there's just no line that's too high for this guy's carries. They're favored by almost a touchdown in this game. There's going to be a lot of running, and he is a workhorse regardless of what's going on in the game. So, again, it's a big line, and these lines are continuing to get sharper every single week. But I'm super comfortable with it.
Yeah, that's a big line, but he's got a good chance of doing that, obviously, and they're leaning on him a little more, and last year they leaned on him as we got into the second half of the season or late in the second half, so I like that one. That's a good one. We have him at 26 carries,
same.
So it's going to be close. It depends on game flow a little bit, but we'll see. Everything depends on
look, if it was, of course, if it was 20 carries, I think people would be hammering it. And for me, I'm like, what's 4 more, you know?
Yes.
And then just staying with this game, because again, I'm very much into this game this weekend. Giovanni Bernard. So Joe Mixon's going to be out again. Giovanni Bernard, he is much more of a pass catching back. We know that. He got the receiving touchdown last week, but still 11 and a half carries. That seems very low to me. For a guy who's going to be handling the majority of the snaps in the backfield, 11 and a half just feels, maybe it's a trap bet. Maybe I'm a sucker for it, but I saw that and I'm like, wow, they have him for under 14. And it was just something that, again, I'll be adding to. In fact, I might parlay these 3 right here, Hunt, Henry, and Bernard.
Well, Bernard did get 13 carries last week at Cleveland, so that number is above 11 and a half. Tennessee's an interesting thing. You worry. I like Tennessee's defense in general, but you really look at the numbers this year, and they've given up a lot of everything. So, sounds like a good bet to me.
Yeah, it just feels low for someone who's going to, quote, be the starting running back on a team. And then, I don't know about you, Emil, but I've been waiting for these Le'Veon Bell props to hit, and they are here. And even money for him to score. I think you should be very confident that he scores a touchdown this week. I think it is going to be designed for. It is going to be intentional. I think Andy Reid, he's a humble guy, but he has also absolutely no problem showing Adam Gase that he knows exactly how to use this talent that is Le'Veon Bell. It's his former team. It was not the nicest departure. I think it's almost like a lock that Le'Veon scores. And at even money, I think that's a really nice payout. And then I have him maybe to score twice. Why not? If he scores twice, and those are any kind of touchdowns. It doesn't differentiate between rushing and receiving. Just for Le'Veon Bell to score twice at plus 800, that's one of my favorite scratch-offs of the weekend.
Plus 800, that sounds like a decent thing. And they did talk a lot about CEH, worrying about CEH at goal line and thing, and I think that, or they talked in general about how much bigger Bell is, so hence goal line would be a smart, what adds to this flavor that they're probably going to use him inside the 10-yard line, which will help that prop. 800 sounds like a good number there.
We love scratch-offs, Emil.
Do we? Yeah, 800 is a good one. All right, off to wide receivers.
Yeah, so we talked about Rodgers a little bit early on, and Davante Adams, I know he had the career week last week. I think it was like 193 yards or something like that. It was ridiculous. Nobody's expecting that again, of course. But, he's such a stud, and to see Davante Adams healthy is, in my opinion, to see one of the best wide receivers in football play football. I am not scared of this line at all. In fact, his reception line is 7.5, and that pays plus 105. I'm not afraid of that either. Harrison Hand is going to be trying to attempt to cover Adams for majority of this game. Good luck to him. I really think the only thing that could slow Adams down would be an injury or some really bad weather. But I checked the weather in Green Bay. It's looking to be about 30, mid-30s, and that's kind of like spring weather for them out there. So I think he'll be fine.
I think he can handle that, 30s. That would be nice. Yeah, I think Davante Adams, the problem with Davante Adams this year is they play him too much and he gets hurt. And that happened last year. Well, last year he tripped a little bit and ended up losing like 4 weeks. But that's a good line. I mean, it's that's a lot of yards, but he can do it. And then against Minnesota, and it's at home. That sounds like a pretty good bet to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I can find a site where I can juice this up to 100 yards, I am. I mean, I like him for 100 yards again this week.
That's good.
Yeah, we don't bet unders on this show, Emil.
We try not to.
No, I certainly don't. And then we were talking about those sad a little bit earlier, and who is Sam Bradford? My God, who is Sam Darnold going to throw the football to? You had mentioned Mims is healthy. The other guy who's healthy is Braxton Berrios, and he seems to be a little bit of a security blanket for Darnold. I see 37.5. It just looks like a low line for somebody who I think is really one of the two only players basically with a pulse that Darnold's going to be able to throw the ball to. It's just a low line, and whenever I see a low line for a receiver who's going to find himself in a bigger opportunity in a given week, I look at it, and Berrios has hit this line in the past when all cylinders were firing for the Jets, whatever that might mean for them. So again, it just feels like a low line that I think is worth paying attention to and betting.
Yeah, it's a good one. He had some big games in the first couple weeks, and Perryman's is, I don't know if he's completely out. Again, he's has been ruled. Anyway,
Perryman's out. Yeah,
Perryman's out. Crowder is doubtful. Doubtful is usually out. So you've got Mims, Burrows, and Jeff Smith. Obviously, Burrows is the guy who's more experienced. It may help with Sims out there. He's got the talent. He's a rookie, and maybe he can spread out the defense a little bit. So I like that bet. That's a very good bet. And of course, this time of the year, you're trying to beat the odds. You're trying to find something that the odds makers have missed. Injuries and situational changes like this are good places to find those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to find an edge in fantasy, in daily fantasy, and in sports betting. But when you see something like this, it's just such a low line, and there's an opportunity, and no one's excited about betting jet props. But this is one I think to be a little bit excited about.
Yeah, that's a good one. That'll be fun.
And then our next prop, this is a Mike Dempsey bet. So Mike Dempsey got a call last night on Sirius. Somebody asking him if he should start Hollywood Higgins, and Dempsey was like, "Who is Hollywood Higgins?" He wasn't caught onto the nickname. So this one's for our good friend Mike Dempsey. Rashard Hollywood Higgins. Total receptions 3.5, and look at that payout at plus 125. That's a positive payout, which I obviously from my perspective drool over those. I mean, again, I mentioned it with Hunt earlier. There are receptions up for grabs here with Beckham out, and we saw Baker Mayfield really target Higgins once Odell went down. And these guys have a rapport together. They came into they've been working together for a few years now. And Higgins is one of these guys, when he first came out, I know there was a lot of hype in the dynasty community, and he just needed an opportunity, and he's going to get it this week. 3.5 to me is just, I would have probably taken him at 4.5 or 5, honestly.
Well, last week he had six targets and 6 catches, 110 yards. But anyway, 6 is way over 3.5, and they're playing at home against the Raiders. Boy, that's hard to stay away from that bet. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, that payout at plus 125. You never want to think that you're smarter than the book, because that's just stupid. But I feel like they might have missed this one. I really do. I think they might have missed this one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. I definitely like that. That's a good one to go with. That's one of my best ones that I've seen for this weekend. That's for sure.
We'll have to ask Mike Dempsey if he's betting his new favorite player, Hollywood Higgins, this weekend.
We shouldn't have 2 Hollywood receivers in the league. We're going to have to talk to the commissioner about that. That's hard for us old people to remember.
Please make some calls about that. And then our last bet here, I don't think this is going to be a popular one, but I'm still into it, and it's Deontay Johnson to score a touchdown. I know he's dinged up, but he is playing, and, a lot of people are scared of this game. Ravens are a tough opponent. With that said, I still think Deontay Johnson is a stud. I think he's still somehow underrated, and for a top receiver to score a touchdown from who might arguably be the comeback player of the year at this point, Ben Roethlisberger. I just like that bet, and I like that payout. It just takes one, and that's what's great about these touchdown props.
Well, if he's healthy, he's the number one guy, in my opinion. And the target-wise and what's been happening when he's healthy, it's just, as we go into Sunday here, we got to make sure we feel comfortable with his health, and Bob's keeping a good handle on that, so we can kind of know where that's at before we finalize our prop bets.
Yes, please let me know, Bob, if you're watching, if you hear about Deontay, because I have him in so many of my season-long leagues too. And then, of course, we have a dart throw here, a what-if bet. What if Brandon Ayuk scores the first touchdown in the Seahawks-San Francisco game? If he does, that pays plus 1,500, another big scratch-off. I really like this bet because I feel like the Seahawks, they sort of struggle with their division games. I expect this one to be played close. Ayuk is a stud, and, why not? Why not have him score first? There's no logic or analysis behind this. You can't predict who is going to score first. This is just what if he scores first.
Well, he's a big player right now with the injuries going on there, so that's a very tempting bet. 1,500 sounds like a lot. That's a big number, isn't it?
Well, it's to score first, it is. I mean, look, I would never tell anybody how to spend their money, but this is one of those things. I call it a scratch off because if you were to go to the store and you were to buy a $10 scratch off and win $1,500, that's a pretty good scratch off. So let this be, your scratch off this weekend.
I like it. That's a very good one. All right, on to the tight ends.
Yeah, so tight ends, again, we talk about this every week from a fantasy perspective and from a betting perspective. A lot of times is the guy going to score a touchdown? And that's why I have this Richard Rodgers prop here to score a touchdown at plus 250. I understand that Dallas Goedert practiced this week, and last I checked, it looks like he might even go this week. That doesn't matter. The Eagles have notoriously functioned fine in 12 personnel, running out two tight ends, and Rodgers, over the past couple of weeks, has become a real favorite target for Carson Wentz. And it helps that they're playing the Dallas Cowboys.
I forgot about that.
How could you forget about that, Emil?
The coffee hasn't synced in yet.
Yeah, one of the worst defenses in football. They exist to depress me every Sunday, and why not make some money off of watching Richard Rodgers score a touchdown on my Dallas Cowboys this weekend?
Agreed. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I am a little worried about Dallas Goedert. But maybe we'll know more today on Saturday and early Sunday where he's at. But I like your point. It's against the Dallas Cowboys. They go with two tight end sets anyway. That's a fun bet right there.
Yeah, and for some reason, Goddard is downgraded. I mean, this is like a smash bet right here. Hopefully, I hate to say that and sound like oh, I know, it's a guarantee. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then we have a guy that you were talking about, I think, last week, Emil, and Harrison Bryant.
Yep, again, he definitely got an opportunity last week, and he took it.
Yeah, and he absolutely should have an opportunity again this week. And again, I mean, that receiving line, 31.5, it's low. That's a low receiving line, at least for me. I saw that, and then I saw that it was at plus 106, and I was like, why am I believing in this guy and the book isn't? So I really like that bet this weekend.
Well, he should be the number one tight end again this week. Obviously, he's new, but there's a connection there. and he looked good. I mean, he really. There was one of those catches he made. I think it was a touchdown. I can't remember that. It was really whipped in there at him, and he caught it, no problem at all. He's a fun one. I like that.
Yeah, he's a big guy too.
I had to pick him up.
Big target.
I had bye weeks last week in season, and I picked him up in 2 or 3 leagues as a desperate, and I played him in one of my DFSs, and that was a fun week. It really was fun watching that guy come through because, trying to find these situations, whether it's prop or season long or DFS, they all correlate, and he was definitely fun, and hopefully he'll have another good week here in week 8.
Yeah, he definitely smashed for you last week, and again, he's got a great opportunity ahead of him again this week. Travis Kelce, this feels like a little bit cheating almost because we're still picking on these poor Jets. 5.5. That's a big line. That's a wide receiver line. But again, I think Kelce's one of these guys you can argue is sort of the wide receiver one on his team in a sense. I mean, this prop, the Mahomes prop, these hit, the Le'Veon Bell prop, these hit if they keep their foot on the gas the whole game. And I just am expecting that. I'm expecting an absolute Chiefs onslaught and for them to show just no mercy against these Jets.
You think Le'Veon Bell has gone around to all the players there in Kansas City and said, let's make a point here?
My God, the locker room material. I truly believe the Chiefs' goal this week is to get Adam Gase finally fired. I mean, Le'Veon Bell had a really nice relationship with Sam Darnold. He probably figures if we go out there and we blow them out by 40 points, I can save Sam because they're going to have to fire Adam Gase. Of course, this is my fairy tale in my head, but
well, what are they going to do? Or they've got to play Sam Darnold. It's stupid not to play Sam Darnold. Flacco is not exactly somebody who's going to. I mean, he's just a backup right now, even though he won a Super Bowl in the past. But yeah, the problem with Kansas City is they can do almost anything on offense, and they've got enough weapons. I don't think Sammy Watkins is going to play, but.
No.
That's what is it, 5.5, and we are forecasting him at 6, but definitely a doable number there, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's again, I mean, here's another thing that's so funny. So I live in Jersey and I live right by the stadium, and there's a sports book right by the stadium, and I've been following the Jersey sports books, and some money is starting to come in on the Jets to win, which is it's so sad because it's like these Jet fans just want to get a win, right? Let's say for some reason, some miracle, the Jets wind up winning this week. It's not going to happen, but let's say it does happen. Plus 1150 is the money line for the Jets to win.
Wow.
Someone would get rich if the Jets won. And there's crazy Jet fans that are going to bet that. I mean, they will bet their team to win this week.
Well, it's kind of like your scratch-off idea.
Yeah, that's a big scratch-off. And we actually have one more scratch-off here, and that's Adam Shaheen to score at plus 1,800. That's not to score first. That is just to score. I know he's dinged up. If he doesn't play, obviously this is a stupid bet. But my whole thought with this is, and it has nothing to do with the extension that he got last week. Tua is getting his first start. When a backup steps into a starting role, especially a quarterback, I like to look at who are the guys he's been practicing with? Who are the twos that he's been running with, right? Kazicki's been running with the first team. You have to figure there's a really good chance that there is a rapport established between Tua and Shaheen. And rookie quarterbacks, they tend to lean on their tight ends. It's a scratch-off, but it's probably, I think, one of the more intuitive scratch-offs, especially at that payout. I mean, all this guy has to do is fall in the end zone, and it's a pretty good day for you.
Well, before the bye in Week 7 at San Francisco and at home against the Jets, he did score a touchdown. He had one target in Week 6 against San Francisco, and he had 3 targets against the Jets and scored one touchdown and caught 3 balls for 51 yards. So he's trending.
That's all you need.
Say he's trending. I don't know if Dempsey understands that terminology of trending. I'm pretending to as an old man.
Yeah, I mean, look again. This is a long shot. I just don't think it's the longest of long shots, and I'm betting it this weekend.
Curious,
100%
very
betting it.
curious bet.
And then,
Excellent.
I like to throw one of these fun ones here at the end. And we talk a lot about Kelsey being the wide receiver one on his team. What about Darren Waller? Let's give him a little respect. This is a prop that the book is offering in that game, in the Cleveland Las Vegas Raiders game, for the player to have the most receiving yards, Darren Waller or Jarvis Landry. I kind of like Darren Waller here. I think why not? He's one of the top receiving threats on that team, and I think people might look at this and say, "Oh, he's a tight end. There's no way he's going to have more receiving yards than Jarvis Landry." But Jarvis Landry could have 8 catches for 40 yards, whereas Waller could have 3 catches for like 75. So I kind of like that. I kind of like this Waller to have more receiving yards than Jarvis Landry.
That's a good one. What's the payout? What's minus 100, 115 mean?
If you bet $100, you'd win 115. So it's not a great payout. But again, this is one of those ones where I might parlay that. That's my favorite thing about the book is you can parlay these player props. And for me, it's very similar. I think we spoke about this a little bit last week. It's similar to trying to build that big GPP team. I mean, if you have 5 players whose lines, or 6 players, whatever it is, that you feel really, really good about, and you bet $20 on it. I mean, it's not a millionaire maker, but if all your players hit, you could win like a nice chunk of change. So that's sort of how I approach these player props.
Let me real quickly look. Waller against Tampa Bay last week had 9 targets, 6 catches, 50 yards before the bye in Kansas City. 7 targets, 5 catches, 48 yards. Of course, earlier in the season he had much more yards. So let me go over and find Landry. I apologize for having to go.
Oh, that's fine. And yeah, the thing with Waller is Waller's getting the targets. We just need him to stretch the field a little bit, and he could totally do that against the Browns.
Yeah. And going over to look at Landry, the last 2 games he's had 40 and 48, and then he had an 88 game against Indianapolis. So those are the numbers there. I can kind of see why the book put that one up, because it's kind of close. And that's obviously they're looking for even bets on each side.
And they do that to lure people like me in. That's what those are. they know. They know.
Yeah, those are great ones. I like those.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I usually come up with a question or two, and I already came up with one, and that's all I've got as I'm trying to look for these quirky scenarios. But these are some great. You got some fantastically unique. Adam Sheehan is quite interesting. Yeah, these are gonna be some interesting ones to try.
So I will finish with the book this weekend has a few things that they're calling their Halloween specials.
Oh.
And some of these are a lot of fun. Of course they have Tua to score his first touchdown. That's minus 400. It's a guarantee according to the book for the most part. They'll have some more big ones tomorrow, but one I'm looking at that I really like is Derrick Henry to have the most rushing yards on Sunday total out of all the running backs. That's plus 200. Here's a hilarious one for you, Emil. Ben DiNucci to throw more touchdown passes than Carson Wentz on Sunday Night Football. That's a bet that the book is offering.
Yeah, what was the
Cowboys quarterback? DiNucci, the Cowboys starting quarterback.
Wow, what was the number on that?
Plus 350 if he throws more touchdowns than Carson Wentz.
Oh, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, here's the thing. This game could go either way. The final score could be 10-3. It could somehow be 35-30. I stay away from the Cowboy bets as much as I can, but my favorite bet, and this is a season-long bet. It's not just for this weekend. Are you ready for this one, Emil?
I am ready.
Both Des both Des Bryant and Antonio Brown to record a touchdown reception in 2020. I'm going to bet that. I have to. I know I'm going to get to see. I know I'm going to get to see Des score a touchdown this year. I know it.
Very possible. Well, obviously Baltimore is looking for a possession type receiver to help him out in the course of this season. We got lots of games left. He could get on the field off the practice squad, and not surprising for him to catch a touchdown. That's for sure. That's a good one.
I can promise you, I will cry. I will literally cry if I can see Des score a touchdown. Just one more time, I'll cry.
That would be fun. It's too bad Baltimore doesn't play Dallas later in this season. We could see it against the Cowboys. Never mind.
My heart couldn't handle it.
That was mean. I apologize. All right, Jen, that's fantastic. I love the props.
Yeah, thank you.
Pardon?
Yeah, we'll have some fun this weekend. I said we'll have some fun this weekend for sure.
Excellent. All right, any last things to say?
Just good luck. Good luck, everyone. I hope you crush the house.
Sounds good. Let's beat the house this weekend. All right, talk to you soon. Thank you so much.